What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 24th episode of the Control Freak Podcast. I am your host, Alex Blackard, or at LessAlex on Twitter. You should go follow me there. We are proudly sponsored by Team Solitary Pro, as we always are, and, of course, our Patreon supporters. If you dig the content and would like to become a supporter, head on over to patreon.com/LessAlex and consider becoming a patron. Today's episode, we have a pretty fun episode. Obviously, I've got these two jokers to my left and right. We've got Zach Johnson and Jake Stehlik. Guys, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jake Stehlik, and he's Zach Johnson. No, just kidding. I'm Zach Johnson. How's it going, everybody? You might have remembered me from, if you're one of the OG Control Freak listeners. I talked about Burn a little bit in one of the third episode or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the third episode, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And Jake?
Jake Stehlik. I've been dying to be on this podcast for a while. I did a little podcasting with Alex about, a year ago now?
Yeah, about a year ago, man.
He is the number one CF fanboy.
Yeah, right. The number one fanboy. So today's episode is obviously going to be a little bit different. Don't usually have two guests on, but today we're going to be playing a game that we all kind of came up with, and it's called Fact or Fiction. Basically, we've got some topics, and I am going to say some statements, and these two are going to say whether they think that it is fact or fiction, and I'm going to reward points. Of course, I'll jump in and give my my little sound bites here and there, but overall, it's going to be fun, and yeah, it's kind of a little fun game that we're going to try, and if everybody likes it, if the viewers and listeners dig it, we will definitely bring it back, because I think it's a pretty sweet idea. What do you guys think? You ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
All righty, so question number 1, let's get into the game. With the creation of Pioneer, has you... Rewind. Okay. With the creation of Pioneer, your interest in Modern has dropped off. Zach, we'll start with you on this first one.
Sure. Well, to be fair, my interest in Modern was kind of already falling off before the introduction of Pioneer.
Sure.
I was really enjoying Mono Red Phoenix, and with the banning of Faithless Looting, that really burned me out, no pun intended. And then Burn was fun for a little bit, but past that, I wasn't at a point where I really wanted to invest in a new deck, and learning the new meta and everything. Just wasn't where I was at the moment. So with the introduction of Pioneer, kind of jump-started things back up for me. I've been enjoying Is It Phoenix in that variation. We'll see if that sticks around between, possible bannings of Treasure Cruise or other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Pioneer's all sorts of fun to explore with all the different things going on. So I'm into it.
I don't think they're going to ban Treasure Cruise. I think the absence of fetches in this format make it a hard sell to ban the two blue Delve cards.
Sure.
Jake, what about you?
Yeah. Actually, a lot of the archetypes that we have in Modern that really pre-established and that just don't really exist within the metagame of Pioneer.
Yeah.
And a lot of the old the older archetypes that we just talked about, Phoenix, that doesn't exist in Modern, obviously, because Modern, you have to have such a deck where the power level meets the level of other decks to be playable.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Death and Taxes player in Modern. So not having the cards available to play the archetypes that I really like makes me want to continue to play both formats. The ability to brew and find cool new archetypes within Pioneer is awesome.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing with Pioneer right now.
Oh yeah. There's so much, it's a brand new form solved in Modern.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit.
I knew it's so fresh. It's.
Uh-oh.
Are you getting potato salad over here?
Jake's turning into a robot. Watch out.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Pioneer has definitely taken my attention away from Modern, especially with how poor blue-white control has been in the last couple of weeks and months, ever since thanks a lot Oko and all the Primeval Titan decks running around. So no, I agree. I think that they're both very good, and I think that Pioneers definitely piqued my interest a lot more. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give you both a point for that one because you both had good. Yeah, I'm a nice guy. Anyways, let's move on. In the same vein of that question, I'm gonna go ahead and pose this statement: fact or fiction? Pioneer is the best format right now. Zach, we'll start with you.
Oh, sure. So
You got to say fact or fiction. That's the game.
oh,
Man.
yeah, that's right. So what last question would have been fact, right?
Yeah.
In my case, yeah. For Jake, I guess it was fact and fiction. But
Yeah.
in this case, I think fact, especially for right now. The issue with modern is it's not like it was going to be forever, It was meant to be
Right.
an in-between format in the time it was introduced, and having a new sort of format with a new cutoff for legality of cards, I think, was inevitable. So the fact we're getting it now is huge. Having fetch lands being banned,
Which is a great. Oh my God, I'm so glad they did that.
that's huge. That's huge. Either do that, or, in my opinion, a lot of those lands should be uncommons. I mean, something as foundational and necessary as the lands, for them to be as expensive as they have been.
Oh,
forever.
so you're just talking about like in terms of being able to get them. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of overall accessibility for players, I think, Shockland's a little more affordable than fetch lands for most folks. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Standard right now is obviously not a lot of fun for people unless you're seriously into elks.
Yeah, you just really dig
weekend.
elks.
Yeah, this past weekend
Yeah.
watching the Mythic Championship. I mean, every time I turned it on, it was just at least one Oko and multiple elks
Yeah.
on the battlefield.
Paulo and Andre Strasky in the finals. That was just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
It was abysmal to watch.
But yeah, with all the different brewing opportunities and stuff like you were talking about earlier, I think it's definitely the most fun and the biggest opportunity right now.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. For you, Jake?
I'm gonna say fiction. I think that
Oh, snap. Here we
it's
go.
I don't think Pioneer's the best. I think it's the newest. And Magic players get really bored with stale formats. And we see how Standard always goes, where, like right when a new Standard pops out, you get a whole bunch, like you get that big rush of people, and then I'd say maybe a third just disappear right after that.
Yeah.
So I don't think Pioneer's the best. I think it's just the newest and it has people's interests. I think once Pioneer starts becoming solved and these established archetypes really start taking form and shape, those like initial players are going to drop off and then start having the same exact complaints that they have about Modern.
Yeah, I mean, the complaints will definitely come, but I think the fact that they're supporting it, Wizards is supporting it as much as they are, with the GPs and the Pro Tours and everything, I definitely think it has sustainability. Like people saying that it's Frontier 2.0 or just
It's
wrong.
Absolutely not. Frontier, the problem with Frontier is the card pool is so limited, and Pioneer, going back to Return to Ravnica, gives you a basis for so many. I mean, it's obvious that Wizards wants to force like a 2-color archetype with Pioneer.
Yeah.
And just going back to RTR gives you so many cards that build upon that 2-color kind of ladder.
Yeah.
And as you keep going up, I think that I played a 3-color deck tonight at Pioneer, and I saw all the weaknesses that without having fetch lands.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of the Kethis deck. That's a 4-color deck, and boy howdy, sometimes you just don't have white, and you just die with Kethis in your hand, when if you did have white, you just roll your opponent. So I definitely hear that. So yeah, I'm going to give you a point on that one, because the whole it's the new thing, it's the hot new thing. I think that's a great point. So I guess for this time, we got Jake up 2-1 right now, so...
Oh, snap. It's on.
It's on. It's on. Okay, so moving on. Fact or fiction? With SCG dropping Legacy off their schedule for next season, Legacy is a dead format. Jake, I'm going to let you take this one because you won last round.
I'm going to say fiction on this one, too.
Right. Why?
Being one of the few like the minority of like legacy players, the problem with legacy is the initial investment.
Absolutely.
And the fear, I guess, like the fear of your cards. Like legacy bans don't happen very often. I think the problem is people just get scared right away by the price point. Like, I don't want to spend $300 on one card. But then you also have the people that have 6 commander decks that are all worth $1,000 a piece.
Yeah, that's
So
like
I don't think legacy's dying. I think people are just kind of ignorant to the fact that if you want to play this format, you got to make the sacrifices and understand what it takes to play legacy. And also understand the decks and the archetypes. Like, going from not playing legacy to playing legacy, legacy is not this horrifyingly broken format that everyone speaks of. Legacy has checks and balances for itself that make it almost more fair than modern half the time.
Yeah, I see a lot of new players thinking that like legacy games end on turn 3 every time, and that's obviously, you know, that's just not the case. But
yeah,
I have a counterpoint, but I kind of want to hear what Zach says. What Zach has to say. Are you done with that portion of your argument?
Good.
Okay, so Zach, what do you think?
Sure. So Jake, I'll say right off the bat, is probably just better proficient in this conversation because he knows Legacy a lot more than I do. I've played it 2 or 3 times, probably 2 or 3 tournaments. But so fiction. But I don't think it's this SCG thing that's killing it off. I think Legacy is just going to kind of naturally going to slowly have less and less players over time, unless they reprint more cards, because that sacrifice.
So you're alluding to the reserve list then?
Kinda, yeah. Not even the reserve list necessarily, but
fetches are still like, I mean, what, Scalding Tarn's $100, so.
Yeah, and I guess if you're on MTGO, you know, Legacy is a lot more accessible, especially if you're utilizing some sort of rental service or something. But I think, you know, naturally people want something fresh and new, and there isn't a lot of room for that in Legacy when there are so many tried and true strategies. You know, you have things like, you know, maybe Oko or new busted cards that show up every once in a while, or like the Curse Walkers that we have. Yeah, just a lot of the new Planeswalkers, because, you know, I think back when the original cards were designed, they weren't designed with Planeswalkers in mind.
Oh, so absolutely not.
When you introduce those, that shakes up all sorts of things.
Especially Planeswalkers with passive abilities. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was...
Karns, Narsets, yeah. Teferis, all pretty busted.
Yeah, my counter argument would be, to both of you, I guess, would be just... if SCG's not going to support it, then who will? Because obviously Wizards isn't. They have, what, 1 GP a year that's Legacy? And now Star City was the place to go to play Legacy, to play high level for big payout Legacy. So, like, if it's not them, then who, right? That would be my only argument to say that it is, in fact, a fact. This might not be the dagger, but it is definitely the slow burn of the format dying.
I think the big fear of Legacy is that it gets thrown on just being a Moto format. And like looking at some of the Legacy prices right now just for Moto things, Bayou's $1.50.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right. If only.
I feel like you are right. Like, if Star City's not going to do it, who is? And I think it just comes down to, duels are expensive.
Duels are expensive. That's the problem. That's the big thing. And the thing is, WotC admits it. WotC admits that the reserve list was a big mistake. At the time, I understand where they were coming from, but it is what it is. That is a rabbit hole that I...
Yeah. That's a whole different video.
yeah. That's a podcast in its own right.
Well, also, Legacy and Vintage people are pretty good about, organizing their own tournaments, right? A lot of those kind of bigger, like 5K, 10K random events you see that aren't like SCG or Magic Fest related, those end up being just run by third-party folks. Well, so I think you have that diehard Legacy community that'll definitely always keep it alive. But in terms of, you're right, in terms of being, an official competitive, this will be your path to the Mythic Championship. I don't see that happening.
Well, I
No.
know in St. Louis on Moonbase yesterday, they had a Legacy tournament. People came from like miles. Like some drove like 4 hours to come there. Legacy players are willing to make the sacrifices for tournaments to play their favorite format,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
which is I think is more than any other players combined.
yeah, and I mean Jeremy runs great events. You know,
Yes.
he actually I saw that he tweeted he'll come out of retirement to do a 15K. So because
Oh my
of
God.
because SCG is willing to you know, going to shut their stuff down. So yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, my only counterpoint would be like, where do you go?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think I'm gonna give you both a point on that one. That was some good arguments. I'm gonna actually kind of audible the next one. Fact or fiction? All of the War of the Spark Planeswalkers were mistakes. Zach, fire when ready.
Ooh. If we're saying all of them, I'm gonna have to go with fiction. I think the idea of a format around Planeswalkers that felt very like Avengers Endgamey. I think
Yeah,
flavor wise, I think it was a cool thing overall. But
absolutely.
in terms of how it warped other formats, I think the ones where we see as staples now were definitely a mistake. You know, to ferry something. The beauty of Magic is just how much interaction there is and how you can do,
Yeah.
you know, anything anytime. And
If
when you
I
have a card like Teferi that makes things so one-sided so quickly, nobody wants to play Hearthstone. We're playing Magic.
right.
So
So did you say fact or fiction?
fiction.
Okay.
Because if we're saying all of them, nah. But just the
I think just putting passive abilities on Planeswalkers was a mistake.
sure. I think there's the design room for it, but the things, like I said, the things that showed up in our staples now,
Yeah.
that they were just too strong. And in terms of those cards, I think they were a mistake. But
Okay.
the fact you saw the other ones that were weaker and more meant for limited, I think those were fine. But the rare, once you got into the rare territory, and I guess
Mhm.
in the instance of Narset, who is the one uncommon who shows up, yeah, it's a little dicey.
Okay. Jake, for you?
I'm gonna say fact.
There you go.
I think
There we go. We got a debate now, boys. Let's go.
Well, while you guys were talking, I pulled up the Myth Explorer list for like all the Planeswalkers and War of the Spark that have like passive abilities.
Yeah.
And there is almost no middle ground of them. Either they're extraordinarily pushed or they're extraordinarily
Just
weak.
Stone
There's
cold
no-
unplayable.
Yeah, there's almost zero middle ground to what deems a card as like good or just non-playable. Like looking at, I don't know, like let's look at like what could be like like a rare one, like a Johnny the Great-Hearted. Creatures you control have vigilance.
yeah, vigilance
That's
isn't great.
That's so mediocre. Like Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord, as long as you're like your creatures and planeswalkers have lifelink, comparative to, I don't know, let's go with like Nissa Who Shakes the World.
This is insane.
That card is absolutely broken. Like that card is insane. It's a 5-minute, like Nissas have always kind of been lackluster. This is the first Nissa that's like exploded out of the gate and been terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to have put strong cards, but having cards like Teferi, which is a rare, and to let's look at like the planeswalkers that are like pushing things out of the format, Teferi, Narset, Karn, the Great Creator.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think when they created these planeswalker static abilities, I don't think they looked at like the full repercussions of what these meant. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
people play enchantments that have these effects for like specific effects. It's not just like it's like a 2-for-1 on a card, like just the basic ability. It's an enchantment on a planeswalker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think were static like abilities really a mistake? They just did them so wrong that we all think it's now a mistake.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let me think. I think I got to give that one to Jake. I think I got to. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. So that was kind of an audible. That wasn't just for the listeners' sake. That was not on our list, and I just thought of it after Zach said something about all the War of the Spark Planeswalkers. So, so today is Sunday. The MC just ended. So, fact or fiction? with 69% of MC6 being Oko decks, is it time to restructure how they develop sets? Zach, we'll start with you.
Is this a fact or fiction, or yes or no? Fact.
We are. The name of the game is Fact or Fiction.
Facts. This is a tough one, right? Because with a game like Magic and all these different complex interactions and everything, there's bound to be stuff you miss. But then there's stuff like Oko that's just like, the second people saw that card, I think most people knew just how busted it would be based on, being a 3-mana walker, coming in at 6 loyalty most of the time,
with Gilded Goose in the format.
Yeah.
Like, a way to play it on turn 2 is actually like disgusting.
Yeah. And that synergizes even better with it, with the food token generation and all that. But yeah, I think in a way, yeah, they probably just need to revisit it once or twice a year in terms of how they structure things and how they test things. Because I think within any company, things get stale however you do it. And in order to keep implementing new and fresh ideas, it's important to have new and fresh mentalities and have some form of checks and balances. Because what was it back in Ether Revolt or around then when they announced that they were introducing the play design team?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So yeah, I think that was a good move, especially after, because it was right after Kaladesh when it had all the busted artifacts.
They're like, all right, our bad.
And that's when Dominaria happened, and I think that was probably one of the most loved and enjoyed sets in terms of limited, in terms of constructed.
I didn't play
Goblin Whirler.
Yeah, I played limited for the first time in years because of Dominaria. Dominaria was a sick limited set. And I mean, just seeing all the nostalgia from Teferi being a planeswalker finally, seeing all the Capuchin, that was so dope. So Jake, he said fact. What do you say?
I'm gonna say fact, but on a different sort of tangent.
Okay.
I don't think it's really how they build sets. I think it's how they build archetypes. And there's always an archetype within a set that is very much acknowledged by Wizards. Like, hey, we want to push this archetype. Like, food, I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of people thought food was going to be incredibly underwhelming because the first thing they thought when they looked at food was, hey, clues. But
that was the big comparison too.
The thing with clues is that clues never had an archetype. Clues never had a deck. They just had Tireless Tracker. You played clues off Tireless Tracker and Declaration Stone. Besides that, who played clues?
Inspector Gadget, but I see your point. There was not a clue deck.
There was not a clue deck. Like, food is a deck, and
I think it was there, but it just wasn't as pushed as food is. Yeah,
food is so strong. So I don't think it's really the way that, because based on the theme, Throne is so cool. It's a sweet set. I think they need to keep the flavor, but when they look at archetypes, what other archetypes are we looking at right now in Throne? Pulling up Throne and get on Mythic Spoiler.
The Fires deck is cool.
No, I'm talking about archetypes within the set.
Oh, sure.
Food is the problem with making. I mean, there's who did a whole Channel Fireball, the bandwagon, did a whole video on it, talking about how making archetypes like food is bad for a standard environment because food will only ever exist really within the set, meaning that the most push mechanic leaves you to a dull set where I'm trying to look at the other archetypes.
Well, there's adventure. There's the green red adventures deck,
green red, green black, but none of them can stand up to food. Not a single one. Wicked Wolf is an insane card.
Oh, Wicked Wolf is nasty. I played against that on Arena the other day, and holy smokes!
The idea for the food deck is to go Goose, Oko, Wolf.
Yeah,
and that's the dream line, and they no other Knights has no way to fight that. Knights sucks right now. Knights has no
is
way.
Not good, yeah.
Knights can't beat food. You kidding? A 4/4 indestructible wolf that fights your best knight when it's into the battlefield? You guys are screwed. How are they going to fight that wolf?
They featured a Kethis, drowned Kethis, so it's played the drowned card that it was like a self-mill deck. And then it was like, oh yeah, but this deck was actually 0-3 and like didn't even day 2. It's like, oh, why did we feature this deck on the Mythic Championship?
Because we need something that was not booed.
Oh my gosh, what a mess. Standard is such a mess right now.
I think we'll talk more about that in our next topic.
I'm gonna give you each a point on that one because I think you both brought good points. So moving on, the new Factor Fiction, the new play design team has helped Wizards of the Coast design sets. Zach, I'm gonna let you start again.
They've helped them, as in like it's been an improvement, you mean?
Yes, correct. Yeah, okay. It has been an improvement to the overall state of Standard.
This
and
is
just
an interesting
designing
question
cards in
because
general. Yeah.
So do you know what exactly the play design team does that wasn't exactly being done before?
It is a conglomerate of like past pros that they have just play test and tell them, hey, this is a little, they help tweak the knobs, right? Like, oh, maybe Oko should have been a 5-drop. Or maybe the middle ability should have been a minus, or,
The elk ability, yeah. But yeah, I this kind of expands on
very
what
convincing.
It's just something I don't. It's again something I don't know very much about, but it kind of expands on my answer to the last question or the last Factor Fiction, and I think they just need to find ways to continue to freshen it up, and I think it does help overall.
Yeah.
But if you have the same pros doing this, they just might. It might become boring to them. They might not take it as seriously. So if you can find ways to get new folks in there and get their opinions in, I think that would help to keep things nice and spicy and safe. So I'm gonna go with fact, but based on a couple of things from the past few sets, probably it's a half and half. It's fact for if you look at Dominaria up to about.
Guilds. They had
Guilds.
2 blocks.
Guilds was all right, but probably War of the Spark, I feel like, was when things started getting a little sloppy. I appreciate that they're trying to introduce, a higher power level.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that, you got to be
a slippery
real
slope. Most definitely.
People were complaining about how underpowered sets like Ixalan and Amonkhet were, but now we're on the other side of that where we're trying to introduce higher power level cards, and like I said, it just gets pretty sloppy.
Yeah. Jake, what about you? Factor Fiction, the play design has helped Wizards better design cards.
So I'm going to ask one question first. What set did the play design team first start in? Ixalan,
I believe.
Okay.
I believe it was Ixalan because it was right after.
Yeah. If that's the case, I'm going to say fiction. Fiction. Based on this idea, it's, sometimes we always have the mythic or two that slips through for being a little too powerful.
Sure.
Like, we can always say Siege Rhino was a little pushed. Like, it was really strong. Going back, Eldritch Moon, like, Spell Queller is a really good card. Like, sometimes these cards slip through the cracks and they make for a more of like a more biased standard. But we've had a lot of cards recently within Magic that there's just like way too many cards are slipping through the crack. Like if they started in Ixalan, then going like up the chain, like Ixalan had nothing. Ixalan had Search for Azcanta.
Yeah.
And that card like fell by the wayside the second Narset came in. Like
it is seeing play in Pioneer, but Ixalan was to me kind of the set that helped set the stage for Arena. It was a very simplistic set in the mechanics. So I feel like
going up through the sets, like Dominaria, Teferi was super pushed. Going up to Core 19, I'm trying to think of like really strong cards. There wasn't, Resplendent Angel was very, very good. Almost a little too pushed, like when like that, like Angel's deck was way too powerful in Standard. like Ravnica. Does anyone else remember Golgari? I remember Golgari.
That deck was
That
very
deck
good.
was horrible to play against. It was obnoxious. They almost, no matter what you played, like every other guild sucked.
Yeah. Fine finality, and then fine broker, and then you get Golgari, the Golgari Queen. Yeah, that deck was very strong.
Like Golgari was way too good. And trying to go up to like in Ravnica Allegiance, Orzhov limited. Orzhov was actually insane.
I didn't play that limited.
The limited environment in Ravnica Allegiance, like if you didn't draft Orzhov, you were probably gonna lose. It like every time you draft on Arena was you better hope you got Ballistica Belhaunt because that card's a bomb.
That card was very good.
Like Core 2020. I mean, Core 2020 was a good core set. It
was a very good core set.
It was a good core set, which, I mean, I'm not going to say about that. War of the Spark, we all see like the mistakes they made.
Yeah.
Like, that set was a fluke. And Enthroned, how did Oko slip through?
I think that's pretty much the general consensus, is that card is just egregious and should have never been.
Not only that, but like Questing hasn't, like, I know you guys haven't played against or with Questing Beast.
I have a little bit in Pioneer, yeah.
Tonight, I watched Questing Beast just destroy Gideon allies in a card.
Yeah.
And like that was the format defining card. I think that I think the like play design team is inadvertently weakening some cards that could be answers to the ones that slip through the cracks.
I think that Wizards has always kind of ridden that slippery slope of wanting their hot new mechanic to do well, so they wait too long to print the answer to. Like the fact that energy didn't have a way to like get rid of energy. Like there should have been like a 1 mana artifact that when it enters the battlefield, it steals energy or something.
I talked about a red card. It was like energy burn. Like for every 1 energy your opponent has an energy pool, like it deals 1 like point of damage to them.
Oh my
God.
Like
going down, like the white card in Core 19. It wasn't even an Ixalan card, but it was an Ixalan, like it was what was it? It was a rare. I'm looking for it right now. There's Sun Cleanser was a Core 19 card that was clearly put in Ixalan that was meant to stop energy, and by the time it came in, it was like
everything was banned. Literally everything was already banned.
It was all banned, and energy was almost out of the format.
Yeah,
like
I definitely agree.
Oops.
Zach, do you have any further comments on this topic?
I think that's a solid point in terms of, if you're going to try to push, new exciting abilities, just have good answers for them too. That's what makes a card game good.
Absolutely.
And the fact we have Oko and little things to answer Oko. I mean, Fry can't even kill it. And
Fry can't even kill. Are you kidding me? Fry can't even kill it. That's literally
Fry to kill a 5-mana walker.
You had one job, Fry. And the fact that Elder Spell isn't even good enough, like.
Right.
Well, like Murderous Rider and Noxious Grasp are the only 2 real answers. Like,
yeah, Noxious Grasp is insane. Very good in Pioneer too.
No one's playing Bedevil. No one's playing.
It's too slow.
Angrath Rampage.
People, if you're running Soul Typhoon, you run Vraska Golgari Queen too, right? Because
Soul Typhoon emerged because it was the answer to blue green food. Sorry, like that's the reason Soul Type exists, is because it was the answer to beating the 2-color deck.
Yeah,
like you see that a lot of times where like if a $2 deck rises to being like the best, then someone makes a 3-color deck with just the right answers.
Yeah, it'll be the same deck plus black, right? Or something.
Oh, yeah. Usually with black, because black is a removal color.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that was a good discussion. I think, though, just because Zach said fact, I do think that overall they have helped. So I'm going to give this point to Zach. Jake, you brought up a lot of good points, but all right. So I believe at this point, Zach is down 1, and we have 2 more topics to talk about. So it's coming down to the nitty-gritty. All right, so fact or fiction, we are recording this on the 10th of November. On the 18th, which is the next BNR, Oko will be banned in Standard. Jake, I'll let you start first on this one.
So I'm going to say fiction. I don't think Oko is going to get the X first.
Wow, I thought this would be a slam dunk fact for both of you. But
I think that Wizards is very, very, like, Wizards doesn't like to ban their face card.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
not do you know how many people cried for the Teferi ban? And Teferi never got the axe.
Okay, but he wasn't 69% of the metagame.
I know. But
Breeding Pool had more copy. Like, I'm arguing counterpoint, which I should be a moderator.
But I understand that. But Wizards, how many times has Wizards printed a face card and it has not been banned, even though everyone's like, this card should probably be banned? I think we're going to see cuts around it until we just neuter green, blue, and standard. I think
just ban Breeding Pool. Just ban Breeding Pool. Whatever.
I think let's think realistically. If we're going to ban a card next, I think Nissa Who Shakes the World is first on the list, followed by Hydra. Wow. Only because Hydra gets turned on me, and it's just it's the card that enables it very well.
Yeah.
And Oko is good, but the thing is, when someone plays Oko, it's usually followed very soon thereafter by a very, very strong threat that Oko just picks down the answers for, or the cards that would fight against Oko, allowing the actual win condition and just destroy you. And usually that's Nissa.
Yeah.
My problems have been, all right, I'm going to kill Oko. They turn my thing into an elk. Cool. I got a 3/3. Well, we have a beat plan. Oh, they killed it with Wicked Wolf. Oh, they killed it with Nissa, because you don't want to trade your elk. They're going to turn everything into an elk and then just hit you with 5 lands that are 3/3s.
Yeah, turn 2 Oko, turn 4 Nissa's egregious.
I think they're going to ban the cards around Oko before they actually ban Oko itself.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely could see them doing that. Okay, fact or fiction, Zach? Oko's about to get the axe.
I think like Alex said, it's a slam dunk fact here. What's worse, you think? The Hogak outcry or the Oko outcry?
I mean, Oko's dominating literally every... The first week that card was printed, it won the Vintage Masters or whatever.
Making waves in vintage too. So the fact
I don't think you can make that argument. I'm going to step in. I think that yes, vintages, but the problem with vintage and legacy is that those decks are designed to fight decks on a very, very specific axis that a lot of times introducing a new card into that can almost win you an entire tournament because no one knows how to play against it. And Oko and food was a really weird thing where, you know what? Guess what won? A Black Lotus killed someone.
Yeah, that brought us my favorite moment in Magic so far this year.
Black Lotus I don't think attacking. You can argue that because just the older you go
with antlers.
I mean, you could play a standard deck of Legacy, and if you don't get stormed out on turn 3, you could probably win very easily.
All right.
That's a fair point. I mean, we are kind of talking about two different things.
Yeah, Zach, continue. Why is it a fact that Oko is going to get banned in Standard?
Like you said, just the Mythic Championship, we saw 6 out of the 8 top decks were, Simic, Sultai, food, right?
Yep.
So that combined with just how much people have been outcrying and demanding Oko to be banned, I mean, now that we got the numbers and now that we got the Mythic Championship out of the way, I think it'll finally happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely at that point where if they don't ban it, they're going to have many more people who are upset than are happy with it. I mean, even the people who own Okos, I'm sure, would be fine with it.
They're just like, come on, I don't want to play mirror matches all day.
I'm over this. Yeah. And it is interesting with Oko and the food decks, because watching the Mythic Championship, even though it was 90% food decks, or that's probably an exaggeration, but watching the stream, it felt like that.
Yeah.
But the mirror did open up very many interesting lines, and it was a fun mirror to watch. There were just all these different patterns. If somebody top decked a Hydroid Crisis at the right time, it immediately swung in their favor, or played a Nissa at the right time. But like Jake said, I could also see them banning Nissa, to be honest. But at this point, with how much outrage there has been surrounding Oko, and given the fact that ramp decks have been a thing for a while with Nissa pretty much in check, I think Oko is more likely to be banned than Nissa.
Jake, do you have a counter argument?
I think that very few times do you lose to Oko itself. I'm still going to stay on the idea that,
I mean,
you don't lose to Oko. You lose to Oko pushing down every threat you put in front of it and allowing your other things to just win the game. Like today, I think I went to like 40 turns against a blue-green Oko deck, not because I just couldn't kill them because they just kept making food and ticking up Nissa. Like Oko was keeping in the game, but Oko was the active threat. Like I targeted Nissa and Hydro Crassus every single time I would have gone to target Oko.
Sure.
But
yeah.
the Oko doesn't win the game. Oko paves the path for Crassus to come down and hit you for 10 in the air.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts, Zach?
No, I think we summed this one up pretty well.
Yeah, I'm going to award the point here to Zach because I think when in doubt, Magic player Rage is going to win the day, and I do think that they will ban Oko.
I'll make you a bet. I'll make you a bet.
What kind of bet? What's the wager?
All right.
Can't do money. We're on.
We're not
that's illegal.
No, we're gonna do something. We're gonna do public embarrassment. If Oko does not get banned, I want you to play a Magic tournament with Savage Knuckleblade.
And what if it does get banned?
I'll play Teferi, the 5-drop Teferi. I hate that card.
How about this? I'll play like a Teamer Blade deck, like Knuckleblade deck.
Okay.
And if I win, you oh my god. If I win though, you have to play like Blue Eye Control.
I'll do it. I'll make that bet.
Deal. You heard it here. That's the bet. You are all our witnesses. All right. So we have a tie ball game right now. So coming into the final fact or fiction of the night, of the day, wherever you're listening or watching. Fact or fiction, the bannings in Pioneer have spiked your interest for the format overall. Jake, I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to say fiction. I think I was already pretty intrigued with Pioneer to begin with. I don't think that... I mean, the bannings help. I don't like Copycat. I hated that deck. I think the deck was obnoxious. I think it's a good thing it was banned. Leyline Abundant. Like, watching... Tonight, I just watched someone go, Burning Tree, Nykthos, Whisper Whale Elemental. And I'd be like, great. That was awesome. Like, the bans didn't really fuel my interest. I already wanted to play Pioneer by itself. I think the format's sweet. I think the ability to brew in it is wide open.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think the bans help show like a more healthy format and not everyone playing cat combo. Like, sorry, Splinter Twin is too good for standard.
And standard plus.
And standard standard heavy. I think
standard heavy, yeah.
It's not modern light. It's standard heavy. No, I don't think the bans made anything. I think Pioneer's just sweet.
Okay, yeah. Zach.
I think
this is the last one. This is the last one.
Whew. Well, I gotta go with the counterpoint, right?
I was about to say you have to go with the counterpoint to win.
But I think the bannings that they showed and the reasoning behind them made me really hopeful for where they're going with Pioneer, and the fact we do have these. Just the fact we have weekly bannings for it.
I think that's so cool too.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And like, what was it? Oath of Nissa. The fact that card got banned, I think most people at first when they saw that were like, "Wait, what?" But
that card is amazing. I've been playing Kethis.
Fantastic.
I've been playing Kethis, and it helps you find your combo, and then while you're comboing, it lets you go and just kill your opponent. So I completely understand it.
And all the legendary synergies, and the fact you could easily play, either Oko or a 3-drop Teferi. Nobody wants that. So the fact they did that and Leyline and not just Nykthos straight out, I think that was huge because a lot of people were excited about Pioneer because they wanted to build the devotion decks because that was such a well received.
You saw people just like, got to get my hands on some Nykthos.
Get them up. Yeah. So since Mono Green was taken over and the Leyline and Nissa helped really ramp that off, hopefully we'll continue to see things that are more, instead of banning maybe a close to busted card, banning some of these cards that are more so the catalyst to making them broken. So I really like the direction they're taking with bans on this.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that they can kind of cherry pick each week, I could see a world where they kind of put something on the ban list, see how the format looks, and then maybe if nothing changes or whatever, they could take it back off the ban list and maybe put something else on.
Are you saying the thing that everyone kind of wanted with Modern, but you physically can't have with Modern because the price range of Modern is too expensive?
I think eventually the prices of Pioneer will get to that point, right? It's just a matter of time.
I don't think so. I think that because of cards being an RTR and them being also new, you know for a fact that those cards, if they get expensive, will get reprinted. I have no doubt in my mind that Wizards, like, no one, like, if you get, people are gonna get mad if they start reprinting random cards from Shadowmoor. Like, how many times do we see a Shadowmoor like $40 card get reprinted, and then look at, and they just become like what, 30 cents?
Yeah,
it wasn't the fact the card was good; the fact the card was just not available.
Yeah, Imperial Recruiter is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, that's a great example. Like,
it was like $300, and then it got reprinted down to like 30.
50. It's like 30 or 50 right now. You can pick them up for the less price of a place that's Scalding Tarns.
Yeah,
but
Scalding Tarns price is egregious.
the cherry pick, like, I don't want to talk about the cherry pick and ban. Like, I think it's a really cool thing. I think that, and the reprint policy, I think we're gonna see a Pioneer Masters here next year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought Mystery Booster was going to be. I'm like, oh, well, they planned for this. And
besides the weird Chaos Draft.
I think that is a sweet. I think it's sweet. I think it's sweet.
I love it. Oh, I absolutely love that set, but that's beyond the point of this.
Yeah. All right. Also, one thing, too, I think Pioneer, you know, what Blyden was saying early today, Jake, was a lot of people are probably going 4-1 and keeping their spicy brews to themselves until they get to that bigger tournament. Like, I think at SCG Con, we're going to see a Pioneer deck that maybe we haven't seen yet just because people are hiding their decks.
So
I had that happen to me on Magic Online. Guy was about to win the match and just conceded to me. So I was like, there's a
free 5-0
pro keeping it under the radar.
So it's really, really cool to watch the evolution of the thought process of how, like, Pioneer decks develop. Like, the first thing everyone thought was, all right, let's just take the most disgusting degenerate decks from the past 5 years and we're going to throw them out there and see how they do.
Yeah, Aetherworks Marvel, not even a deck.
Yeah, and then you move on to the next thought. Like, okay, we're going to take the standard decks, but let's kind of spice them up with the new and the old cards. And now we're on the step 3 where we have Possibility Storm, and oh my God, Border Gimos just hit me with all of his lands.
Yeah.
Like, that is so cool how this format has evolved. This format is sweet.
It's so good. It's definitely my favorite format right now. Not close. So let's see. You said, who said what? You said
I said fiction because I just want to play this format no matter what. This format's sweet.
And Zach,
it's not the bans, it's just the cool.
Zach, you said fact because
I like the direction and the reasoning of the bans.
And your winner of the first Fact or Fiction here on the Control Freak podcast, Zach Johnson, because Jake's answer was a filthy casual answer.
That's fine. You know what? I'm going to get my brews. I'm going to go up to Brewland and not take you with me.
No, I think brewing in this format is awesome. I've got a brew that I got some Boros Battalion boys. It's gonna be sweet.
White weenies.
Yeah, white weenies.
Wait. Knuckleblade Company's coming out, and it's going to hit you for 4 damage. And when they cast Knuckleblade, or not, get off Coco, I'm going to steal your stuff with Deputy Attention, and you're like, whoa, you just got me good.
Well, I'm going to love seeing you cast some Teferi Hero of Dominaria when Oko gets banned in Standard on next Monday. So that's going to be great. Guys, do you have anything, housekeeping stuff? We're coming to the end of the podcast. If you guys want to shout out your Twitter handles or whatever. Zach, you can go first, and then.
Sure. I am on Twitter as @MindfulMTG. I have a podcast called Mindful Magic that I'm currently on hiatus from due to job stuff and all that, but probably getting back to that soon, and there are a few episodes you can listen to. So, yeah, that's my plug.
And Jake, for you?
Keep playing Magic. Game is fun.
Absolutely.
I don't got Twitter. I don't got anything.
Yeah.
Just keep playing Magic. Game's fun. Explore Pioneer. Don't just copy the first deck that you see online. play what you want to play. Don't let's see. The
What if they
Pioneer-
wanna? What if they wanna, Jake?
You know what? If you weren't as disgusting as it Phoenix players, then do whatever you want. But just remember, you're disgusting as a Phoenix player.
He mad. He mad.
He mad.
All right, that deck without Surgical Extraction, the format is scary.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching wherever you're consuming this content. I definitely appreciate you. And as always, we are sponsored by Team Solitary Pro. You can find us on all the podcast apps. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe if you dig the content. And of course, I do have that Patreon. Head on over there and consider becoming a patron. It definitely helps out in supporting the podcast. But yeah, this has been an awesome episode. Let me know too in the comment section and all that, or DM me on Twitter, message me on Twitter, and let me know if you dig this kind of game show style podcast, because I definitely think it was a sweet idea. And
That is awesome.
If everybody likes it, we could get different people on too. So yeah. But as always, Magic players, be kind to one another. Have a great night.